And I know that you've missed it too because you have mentioned it to me. So I am super thrilled to be back doing Fri-YAY. I hope that we'll be able to continue meeting in this place every week for these fun little videos about singing to music, music business, creative placemaking, things. So today, we're talking a little bit about, our own creativity. So I wanted to kind of bring this up, which is like, how do people come up with ideas for projects? How do you take this thing and you're just going to like create an artistic project that you want to do together with people? So that's what we're talking about. And it's on my mind. Creating your own projects is on my mind because, well, Black Meridian is premiering next week. So my theatrical recital, Black Meridian with MIATP, which is Megan Enan and Alan Tyson present, my voice and saxophone duo, or an avant pop duo. So MIATP, our second touring production, is called Black Meridian. And I love telling this story because it's a lot of this kind of subject of like, how do you come up with ideas? What do you do working on something, or I'm getting excited about something? This comes about because I get inspired by some little nugget of something, right? And Black Meridian is exactly this way. So if you come to the show, Friday, March 18th, there we go. Oh, I don't even know what day it is anymore. So March 18th, here in New Orleans at Tulane at Dixon Hall. I'm super excited. You can see it. I'll invite you to the Facebook event or send you a message or whatever. And when this comes up, people say like, "Oh, well, how did you come up with the idea of Black Meridian?" And it really came from one piece. And this one piece is Antoine Boyer's Ein Ton. Ein Ton is the bulk of the second half of this show. What really sparked my interest in this is Antoine Boyer is part of the kind of school of composers that's called Wandweiser. And Wandweiser composers are very interested in repetitive motives. They're also very interested in lots of silence. And that would not have been my aesthetic at the time to pursue, except I was moved by this piece. So Ein Ton is basically a text piece that is two players playing the same pitch, one in the first 30 seconds of the minute and until one player stops, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, what a fascinating idea. So I got really interested in this because I thought, especially because this is not necessarily my go-to aesthetic, is lots of, silence or whatever. I was thinking, how do you get an audience to come along with you so that you get to this piece and they go, wow, they have the same feeling that I have thinking through it. How do you craft a show? So this is where I got. So I had something that sparked my interest, right? Then I connected it to another idea. What's the challenge here? The challenge for me, the creative challenge is, can you build a show that gets people to this particular piece and they go, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful and moving. So I think to myself, okay, well, what are some of the things that could do this? If Ein Ton has an abundance of silence as one of its driving points, I thought, okay, well, we make silence be this breath of fresh air, right? What is this like? Okay, well, before that, I want to structure it so that we're leading up to this with so much intensity in the music and sound and range and volume. Everything is happening. Everything's building, 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 right? So that when you reach this point, you go, oh, wow, it's refreshing. It's interesting. It still moves the story along, right? And so I thought about this and so to the point of how do you come up with projects, right? What's our brainstorming exercise here? Is I want you to start keeping track of the things that inspire you, even if it's just a really like small kernel of an idea that sparks your curiosity. If it sparks your curiosity and then you're able to attach it to some sort of artistic challenge that you want to give yourself. What do I want to do with this? Right? Oh, I'm interested in this. Is there something that musically or artistically I want to experience through this kernel of inspiration? That's where we want to go. Right? I want you to keep track of these things. Maybe it's a journal. Maybe it's a note on your phone. Maybe it's, I have a Google Doc, I think, of things where I get excited about an idea, a spark. I get excited about it and then I go, what would it feel like to do this, right? So another example, of this is an example that I like to share is like one of the recital projects that I have is called Single Words She Once Loved, which is about the concept of memory, dementia, time, and relationships. And because I'm fascinated, but also terrified of the people that I love going through this and losing our shared memories, I thought, well, what if I make a story around this, right? And then I asked myself, what's it like? Am I going to be the person that's inside, experiencing it from the inside? Am I experiencing it from the outside? Am I experiencing it adjacent? Right? What is this like? What story do I want to take the listeners through so that they're having this? What is the story that I want to tell around that? Right? So I get excited about this. I have this kernel of inspiration, or maybe it's a fear, right? That's the same thing. In this case is like, what am I afraid of? And how can I work through that? And so what I want you to do is that keep track of those things and then ask yourself more questions. Do I know the right space for this? Do I know the right collaborators for this? Keep track of these little sparks of inspiration somewhere. It can be a journal, whatever it is, and then keep adding little bits of information to it. I'm thinking of like, did you ever have one of those things when you were a child of like the magnetic shavings or like metal shavings inside, and you would like take a pen, like magnet pen, and then like put like the facial hair on a guy or something like that, that it's like the magnetic shavings, you can like draw with them essentially. But the whole idea is that they're kind of like, you're grabbing more of them. They're kind of like connecting to each other, right? This is the same thing that I want you to experience with your creative ideas is start with whatever your spark is, and then you're going to just see what gets attracted to it. What's magnetized to it? Is it people that you want to work with? Is it a space? Is it a sound world that you want to create? Is it a story that you want to tell? And you're going to keep track of them because so many of our project ideas take the time that they take. And I want you to just keep amassing information to it until it's ready. One of the things that I get so much with my clients is like, well, they want to apply for grants to do what they're going to do, but they don't have necessarily a body of work, or they're not sure what to apply with. And this is part of what I want you to do as part of your grant vault. Head back to some of those Fri-YAYs for a second. Is that I want you to have a vault of your project ideas that are just looking for the next element of resources, people, place, idea, whatever it is. And so as you're keeping these things that spark your attention and you're starting to like bring people to them, you're starting to bring a timeline, as you're starting to bring those things, as those start to take form as an idea, right? That's when you can really apply for a grant, or you can apply for more funding, or you can apply for a get to the next level. So one of my favorite is Twyla Tharp's The Creative Habit. If you don't, I constantly think about the Twyla Tharp like inspiration box, right? So she would say that for all of the shows that she created, she would take like a printer paper box and write whatever on the outside, and like everything that was inspiring her for that particular show was going into that box. So she was like, you can start with a swatch of fabric, right? it doesn't matter how big or small the thing is, it goes in the box, right? That idea is, maybe it's a book that you got really obsessed with. Maybe it's another recording of something, and then you're like, oh, but what if I did it like this, right? That goes in the box. So what I'm basically talking about is the Twyla Tharp creative habit, box, which is take your points of inspiration and don't just like let them go. Don't let them just like fly out on the wind. Keep them somewhere so that you can kind of keep adding to it, so that when those ideas start to take shape and form more, you can do something with it. You can bring more people on board, or you can get it booked somewhere or whatever. So that's really where I want to go with this. And so hopefully some of the things that you hear in there is, what am I inspired by? And I'm going to start making it a habit of mine to pay attention to what I'm inspired by. Don't let that just wash by you either, which is, am I inspired by the way that the sunlight is hitting these particular flowers, right? Okay, well then maybe I'm going to keep that. And it requires you to open yourself up to awareness around, what's catching my attention? What do I find compelling? What's interesting to me? And start keeping that information and revisiting it wherever you keep it. If it's in that note on your phone, if it's in a journal, whatever, invite yourself to revisit that information regularly so that you go, oh yeah, that is great. Because as time passes, you're going to have more things to add to that creative nugget of information. Okay. So we've talked about developing an awareness of, what do I find interesting? Getting inspired by something, a kernel, and then keeping that somewhere so that you can add to it, right? Then we're accumulating, what are all of the parts of this idea that need to come together? And if I come back to this idea of Black Meridian, right? I took this idea and I thought, okay, I really want to perform this piece. I want everything to lead up to it like this. This sounds kind of like a recital, okay, or a theatrical piece, really. And I was like, I'm going to tell a story about a failing relationship, but through the analogy of a black hole. And because of this, I thought, okay, as you get closer and closer to the singularity of a black hole, gravity condenses. And that once you get to the singularity, everything is just stasis. Everything is still, right? And that, I thought, perfectly, this is how we're going to commission the works to lead up to this, right? So that by the time we get to that piece, which is such a great example of this singularity that I'm talking about, we've done this through all of this music that is taking the concept of groove, like gravity condensing, and getting more and more intense in the groove, more and more sound, more and more power, and let's see here, like more emotional storytelling, right? So that as we're going through, so that when you get to this moment, the audience has been on this whole journey with you, and they're ready for that simple sounds and silence, because it means something now, right? It means more than what it was meaning before. So we're taking this whole journey together. And if I'm thinking about that, then I go, okay, well, I have to think, who do I want to make this recital with? Well, I want to make this with Alan. So let's make that happen. Okay. I have to ask him if he's on board. We talk it through. We come up with ideas for that. We go, okay, well, we're going to commission the composers. We start commissioning composers and filling in the rest of this. Okay, well, now we need a piece that tells the beginning, like that really tells the story. Okay, they're going to write that. That's great. And then we're really bringing this idea together and looking for then presenting partners. And Niente Forte here in New Orleans becomes a presenting partner so that we can premiere this show. And you're attaching more and more of the resources to that project. You go, what would make this happen? What's the space in which I want to have this happen? And so all of that is coming from an ability to be aware of what you're inspired by, and then say, how do I want to share this with people? How do I want to share this through the expressive modalities I have? And then go forward with that. Okay, divas, that's it for today. I hope that you have enjoyed this first Fri-YAY back after a long hiatus. And let me know your thoughts. Always, message me here and let me know if there's something that you're thinking about that we could do a Fri-YAY on, and we'll see you very soon. So, as always, stay sparkly inside and out. Until next time.